Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Vintage Edmonton Music, and I am your host, Rev Recluse, and welcome to the very first podcast of Vintage Edmonton Music. Before I get a little bit too ahead of myself, I want to introduce myself. My name is Rev Recluse on social media, and I own and operate a website called VintageEdmonton.com, which is a history of Edmonton, Alberta through the different mediums of ads, articles, audio, film, and ephemera. Whatever I can possibly put on the website. And if you're a fan of the website, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the podcast also. So what am I going to do here with the podcast? I've built up over the years a pretty nice collection of vintage Edmonton music. I've been in Edmonton for 14 years now. I'm always the guy that you're going to see on the swap meets, the garage sales, the flea markets on the weekends, thumbing through all of the music that they have there invariably. And I built up a pretty good collection of vintage Edmonton music over the years, and I decided to share it with all you fine people out there and hope that you like it. And the very first one that I want to spotlight, or the very first record I want to spotlight here on Vintage Edmonton Music, I don't know if it's my first purchase since I got here in Edmonton. It's one of the very first, maybe the first two or three. This is a record and a band called Spectrume, who was originally out from 78 to 85 approximately. They were what they would call back then an all-occasion band. You would see them playing at lounges and wedding receptions and dance halls and house parties, playing all types of music for all types of people. And you'll see the different styles that we're going to spotlight here in the podcast. The people who were on this record, it was actually a family band, the Kozub family. One of the people is Mark Kozub, the very fine author and writer and man about town here in Edmonton, who wrote the great book called Weird Edmonton last year, one of my favorite books on Edmonton. Played bass on this. His brother Mike played guitar. His father Melvin played sax, and a family friend, Carver Dillabaugh, played drums. So the very first song that I want to play is my favorite off the record. This is a Dire Straits classic. Everybody knows it, and it was very much the big record of the time, and one of the big records. Of course, this is Sultans of Swing. It was a very energetic version of Sultans of Swing, and one of the things you'll notice that the lead singer Mike didn't quite have all the words, the lyrics of the song, so he kind of made things up on the fly, and which is part of the charm, I think, of the song. The musicianship is really, really good in this record. Very, very good. Mike, especially on guitar, just a great guitar player. Very, very impressed by him. And again, this is a very energetic version of Sultans of Swing. One of my favorites, versions of Sultans of Swing. So I hope you enjoy it. This is Spectrume doing Dire Straits' Sultans of Swing here on Vintage Edmonton Music.
Take a Chevy in the dark, it's raining in the park at me time. Out the rhythm, you stop and you hold everything. The band is blowing Dixie in the fall time. You feel alright, you hear the music ring. Well, you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out the rain, you hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places. It's not what they call rock and roll. We are the Sultans. We are the Sultans of Swing. Take Guitar George, he knows all the chords. Got a daytime job, he's doing alright. They say an old guitar it's raining in the park at meantime. All the rhythm you stop and you hold everything. The band is blowing Dixie in the fall time. You feel alright, you hear the music ring. We are the Sultans. We are the Sultans of Swing.
Welcome back to Vintage Edmonton Music, and this record was recorded at Project 70 Studios by Joe Kozak, and keep in mind both Joe Kozak and Project 70 Studios, because it's going to be one of those ones that keeps coming up back and over and over again through the podcast, especially the records that were produced in the late 70s, early 80s. It was one of the go-to places here in Edmonton to get your bands recorded and produced of all genres, and Spectrume's record obviously was no different. I'm going to play now a Kozub brother original called In Through the Sound, which is again one of my favorite cuts off this particular record. Part of its charm is the earnestness and the musicianship, and it's really good musicians, and you can see that they made their way through the Edmonton scene, and again, I love this record, and I love this song. So this is Spectrume, In Through the Sound, a Kozub Brothers original here on Vintage Edmonton Music.
Traveling through this world of sound, all colors yet to be found. Through their eyes they see, views not always to be. Got to get it straight, I got to get it, not to hesitate before it's too late. Not just fantasize, but to realize. As they sit on what they smoke, they say, won't you have a joke? Contradictions, the way of man, they await the master plan.
Welcome back to Vintage Edmonton Music, and the last song that I want to play on this particular podcast and by this particular band called Spectrume is a song called Barbara Polka. And as I explained at the start of the podcast, Spectrume was one of those bands that played all occasions band, whether they were playing dance halls, whether they were playing wedding receptions, whether they were playing Ukrainian halls, whether they were playing house parties. They fit their music to the places that they played at, and to be a band like that, you had to be very versatile. You had to play all types of music and had to play them very well, which Spectrum did. So this is one of those songs that you would have had to have played, obviously, if you were at a Ukrainian dance hall, played a Ukrainian party. And it's really interesting because I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, which has a very, very big Ukrainian population, and polka music is very much ingrained in me. And this is a polka song called Barbara Polka. So this is a joy to me to listen to. So this is the last song that we're going to play here in the podcast, and this is Spectrum with Barbara Polka here on Vintage Edmonton Music, and I will see you very, very soon.